Why am I doing these recordings, these YouTube segments? I'm trying to give you insight. I'm trying to teach you how to think properly about things. I'm trying to expose to you my framework, my system. And so my money is not for myself. My money is for everybody. And as soon as I'm getting paid, as soon as TuneCore will pay me, a vast amount of my finances will go to charity and will go to philanthropic work. So I'm making this distinction between charity and philanthropic work. Charity being, when you give to the poor, and helpless, well, that's charity. When you sponsor students or you sponsor academic projects, or you give to universities and other such corporations, well, that's philanthropic work. So I'm going to do both, and I'll keep only the bare minimum to myself. So that is the plan. What am I achieving by this? That's a good question. Well, I'm achieving merit, right? So it is said in Buddhist circles, you only keep what you give away. That's the only thing you keep in life. Even in this life, it's actually referring to the afterlife. This particular statement, you only keep what you give away. That's referring to the afterlife, but it's true even to this life, because an accumulation of merit is of importance to this life too. Okay, so surprise, surprise, all of you atheist people out there, all of you people that refuse to believe in the afterlife, which you shouldn't refuse to believe in the afterlife, because the afterlife is a truth. It is a fact. Well, all of you people that refuse to believe in the afterlife, well, merit, Buddhist merit applies to this life too. Okay? So I've tried to acquire merit in many ways. Now, giving you insight, giving you spiritual insight is one way in which I'm trying to acquire merit for myself. And I've tried to acquire merit through my music. I've tried to influence people through my music. And I hope I've done it right. I hope I've managed to open your minds through my music. I hope I've managed to open your minds and souls to the vibes in my music. So it's a way of acquiring spiritual merit, and that's very subtle. Okay, that is a very, very subtle way of acquiring merit. I guess. Okay, so out of the concrete things that I've done in my life, maybe I've done 10 to 15 good deeds in my life. Like major contributions. 10 to 15, okay? I have not done more than that or less than that. 10 to 15 good contributions. And by contribution, I mean saving a person's life, okay? Solving a major mathematical problem, things like that, 10 to 15. And I've done them, and I've done them well. And those are concrete, hard facts, okay, that bring good merit, good punya. Other than that, it's more subtle what I'm doing here. The things that I'm doing are very subtle in nature. And I'm acquiring spiritual punya from the things that I'm doing. So let's move on. In this segment, I want to talk to you about Buddha's enlightenment. Okay, so I guess I've spoken to you about this painting before. It's actually a range of paintings, and they always show the same thing. Okay? This is one of them. And you can say it is a Buddha's enlightenment because it shows the things that are shown in Buddha's enlightenment. And it is a Buddha's enlightenment because it is a Buddha's enlightenment. It shows the very things that are shown in such a suite of paintings. So it shows the crowd. There's the crowd. There's 5 disciples over there which have recorded Buddha's words directly. The crowd is sucking in Buddha's words, as we have discussed. Now, the crowd of people lies at the right of the Buddha, as you can see. The animals, the fawns and the birds lie at the left of the Buddha. That's very important. It's important to make this distinction between right and left, okay? As my thesis advisor Noam Greenberg, may he rest in peace, he used to say, trust a mathematician to know between right and left. He was referring to group theory when he said that. Very, very spiritual guy. Too bad he passed away and he was replaced by a doppelganger, but don't worry too much about that. So, at the right of the Buddha is the crowd, at the left is the animals, okay? So we make that distinction. At the right of the Buddha, there's the woods. At the left of the Buddha, there's a huge, vast amount of sea and the sun rising. Okay, it's huge amount of plains and lands and the sea and the sun rising at the left of the Buddha due to his meditation. Okay, and Buddha lies in a bubble. Okay, that's sainthood basically. Okay, so Buddha is a pre-Christian saint. Okay, you can view him as a saint. You can view an arahant as a saint. Okay, there exists a koan in Japan. In classical Japanese, there exists a koan that says 1 pound a flask. So basically, you could, the spirit of the koan is that basically you could achieve Buddhahood by refraining yourself from eating. So all you eat in a given amount of time is 1 pound a flask. Well, then you're sure to meet Buddhahood. But that doesn't generate bodhicitta, right? That doesn't generate bodhicitta, generosity towards others. So I guess bodhicitta comes before the ideal of the arahant in Mahayana practice, particularly in Zen Buddhism. So that is the irony. It's a little bit sarcastic, that koan. That is the meaning behind that koan. Striving towards being an arahant, that is 1 pound a flask, does not generate bodhicitta. So you should focus on generating bodhicitta in your practice. Okay, so the Buddha lies in a bubble of light, that's sainthood, and he lies under a tree, and that's a signification of one's lineage. Okay, so the tree means genealogy, growth, expansion, and a timeline that is much higher than the timeline of a human being's life. So the tree in this context means lineage. So these are the elements of Buddha's enlightenment. I was corrected on this one. I must speak out and I must be accurate. So crowds to the left, animals to the right, crowds to the right, animals to the left, woods to the right, a vast amount of land and sea towards the left. The disciples of the Buddha who are recording what he's saying, and the tree behind him. Okay, so these are important elements, and they will always be found in the context of Buddha's enlightenment. I mean, I know a lady from the United States. I'm following her guided meditations. And she said, she mentioned in one of her Dharma talks that deers often come to her, and she often feeds fawns and deers with carrots or other vegetables that she can find. She's often feeding the deers in question. So that's basically, that is the Dharma wheel and the deers. Okay, so you will always find these elements. I've already told you that it's funny how patterns reoccur. I've used that in the context of people that offend the Sangha and the Dharma and the Buddha. They are always doing that out of sheer ambition, sheer ego. Okay, so I guess it isn't a coincidence that we are encouraged by Buddhism to think of ourselves as not being endowed with an ego. Okay, so it is very, very healthy to think of a human being as, or actually not of a human being, because you may be able to offend others that way. Yet it is very, very healthy to think about oneself. So think about yourself as not being endowed with an ego and try to fill it, if you know what I'm saying. But in any case, these are the elements of Buddha's enlightenment, and the tree behind the Buddha, well, that's highly, highly important. That's lineage. Okay, that is lineage. And we all, okay, so descending back in our lineage, we all go back to Shakyamuni Buddha. We all go back to Gautama Buddha in our lineage. And I guess it is something to be proud of, something to cherish, something to exalt in our practice. The fact that we all go back to Gautama Buddha, a great, great teacher. The Supreme Buddha, our teacher.